We've started discussing what sex addiction is. We'll continue with part 2 of the series. The consequences of our addiction did not make us stop. Meaning, even if someone threatened you, even if you were about to lose your job, even if you were called by the cops, you were called to court, your clients complained, people complained, no matter what happened, you still did not stop. Or limit our acting out. Oh, I'll just do it 1 hour a day. I'll just do it 30 minutes a day. No, we still would go 6, 7, 8, 4, 10 hours. Believe it or not, for some people, it gets to that extent. The more we try to control our behavior, the worse it got. We were unable to stop on our own, and the pleas or threats of the people in our lives did not help us to stop either. Meaning, no matter what people said, no matter what people did, we still did not stop. We continued with our behavior. Well, there's something that we call the 3 inner circles of addiction. I'll show you in general what mine is. So I have the inner circles. For me, it is alcohol, drugs, pornography, masturbating, television, rap music, magazine, newspapers, gossiping, lying, stealing, fantasizing, and movies. Now, these are things that destroy my life. These are things that contaminate my life. These are things that ruin my life. So these are the inner circle things that I'm trying to refrain from, that I'm fighting every day not to do. Then we have the middle circle behaviors. These are things that as soon as I start doing these things, then I know I'm playing on dangerous ground. I'm walking a fine line that can lead to me acting out on my inner circle behaviors and going right back to square one. So for me, it's self-pity. When I'm feeling sorry for myself and I have that victim mindset and poor old me, I'm still lonely, no girlfriend, no wife, still living at home, unemployed. Once I go down that path, there's no telling what can happen to me. Boredom, not having anything to do, not having a plan of action for the day, being bored, just sitting in my bed all day, lazing around, being lazy. That sets a path. No faith. Lack of faith can cause destruction for me. Hopelessness, not praying, not learning, being on the internet, ungratefulness, hugging women, every woman. That's very dangerous behavior for me. And going to circular places, meaning like movies, malls, clubs, things like that. Once I stop playing on that middle circle, I'm playing on very dangerous ground that could lead to the inner circle where I'm actually acting out. So what do I need to do? I need to forever stay on my outer circle behaviors, which I have written down. And as long as I do these things, I'm guaranteed to not go back to my old ways. And what does that? It involves learning, listening to lectures, reading books, praying, reading psalms, going to go pray. Fasting helps, giving charity, what we call tzedakah or tithing or things like that. Doing service work, like how I'm doing now for me. This is part of my service work that I'm doing for the program. Doing meetings, dressing properly, asking questions by my teachers and asking questions by other people that have worked the program and finding out what has worked for them and implementing those things into my own life. Reading recovery books, eating properly, jogging. As long as I do those behaviors, I'm guaranteed not to act out. So I'd suggest everybody to do your 3 circles and live by them, practice them, implement them, apply them into your life every day, every hour, every second. Every thought should be based on your 3 circles. What am I doing next? Where is it going to lead me? Is this a good action? Is this a bad action? What are the consequences of it? What should I be doing? Always calculate your moves. That's the best way to stay in recovery. Compulsive masturbation, destructive relationships, romantic obsession, obsessive fantasizing, compulsive use of pornography, excessive fear or avoidance of sex. These are many of the ways that other people act out. Others, it's prostitution, use of prostitution, compulsive cross-dressing, phone sex, voyeurism, meaning showing yourself around, exhibition, sex in the public places, inappropriate touching, sexual assault, molestation, bestiality, and other behaviors that involve risk like this. These are called acting out behaviors, and they're illegal and they harm others, and they have spiritual implication and also have physical implication. So every sex addict must strive to stay away from these behaviors if they ought to find recovery and live a life of recovery and find a healthy lifestyle. They need not to engage in these addictions. I'd highly suggest that every sex addict buy himself this book and start reading it and start implementing it into his life and start grasping it so that they can find recovery. You do not find recovery by lazing around and just sitting and just feeling sorry for yourself. You find recovery by working the program every single day and reading literature. You cannot be a lawyer without studying law. You cannot be a doctor without studying medicine. Nor can you be a recovering addict without studying the literature of recovery. The common thread among all these behaviors for us as sex addicts is that we engage in them compulsively, meaning non-stop. Our willpower was helpless against them. Meaning no matter how much willpower we have, no matter how strong we thought we are, even if you can keep a strict diet and eat healthy and you can jog for 6 hours a day and you have control in every area of your life and you know how to keep a budget, the one thing that you cannot control is your acting out behavior. That's why you need to stop it immediately. And their negative and painful effects. It didn't matter if others appeared to do the same behaviors without ill effect. That's another issue that we need to be careful of. Who cares what other people are doing? You need to care what's good for you. If everybody's chopping off their hands and they're just cutting their hands, and that's the new fashion, I'm not doing that. If everybody's jumping off a building and they just land on the ground and they're completely sane and nothing has happened to them, and if everybody's hanging themselves but they're not dying, are you going to do that? If everybody's cutting off their heads and their heads can still talk, are you going to do the same thing? I don't think so. So if everybody's acting out and everybody's watching pornography and going to prostitute and going to strip clubs and going to masseuse parlors and nothing is happening to them, do not think and fool yourself and deceive yourself and live in an illusion of self-deception that you can do the same thing and nothing will happen to you. You will face the most severe consequences ever. We could not engage in them without any consequences, meaning every time we did this, there was consequences. We chose sex and romantic obsession over those things which we cherished. Now, most guys, most sex addicts, most guys in general, tend to go for destructive relationships. Now, I'll tell you from experience, when it comes to choosing a woman, I make the worst decisions ever. Why? Because my decisions on finding a girlfriend or woman, whatever, is based on the exterior, how she looks. She has to have nice legs. She has to have big breasts with a pretty face. Hardly ever do I get concerned that she have a good personality. Is she modest? Is she kind? Is she good for me? Is she generous? Does she have a loving heart? I tend to always look for the looks, and those looks bring about my destruction because I make the wrong decisions, and because the bad decisions that I make when it comes to women, I usually suffer consequences that are severe. And right now, what I'm working on in my life is training my mind and heart and emotions to fall in love with the right modest goal and not just go for the looks. Because people that go for the looks, they end in self-destructive ways. I'm yet to see a woman that's into internet, that's into clothes, that's into shoes, that's into materialism and everything that this world has to offer, and yet at the same time be a spiritual, modest woman. The two don't go hand in hand. And if that woman is into finances and the best car and the nice clothes and everything like that, chances are she's a very destructive woman. And you do not want to go down that road. You don't have to agree with me. You just have to understand what I'm trying to say. So we need to stay away from self-destructive and relationships. Sexual thoughts and romantic fantasies and seductive planning filled our minds and distorted our, meaning we can't even think properly. We cannot even take the right direction, hit the right path, and do the right thing. Sex became our way to escape our feelings and responsibility. We repeated our sexual behaviors even though we knew that would bring harm to ourselves and to others. We need to understand one thing about addiction, be it alcohol, be it drug addiction, be it anything. It does not only affect us, but it also affects other people in our life. You do not live in a vacuum. You live in a world with other people. And every decision you take, whether good or bad, has an effect on your friends, on your family, on your community, on society, on the country. And we see a good example with our leader, Jacob Zuma. The selfish decisions that he takes affects everybody. And just because you're unknown, you're not famous, don't think that the decisions that you make don't affect other people. There's only two kinds of people in this world, and I'll close with that. We get the problem solvers and people that bring solutions to the world, or you get people that bring about destruction. You need to choose. Are you bringing destruction into this world, or are you part of the solution in this world? 2 more minutes and I'll close up. So sex became our way to escape our feelings and responsibilities, and that's exactly like the same thing with drugs and alcoholics. They're usually people that want to run away from their problems, run away from their responsibilities, run away what's happening in their life, run away from what's really taking place in your life, instead of facing it. Instead of, part of the prayer is having a higher power. Instead of praying, God help me, I'm going through this, it's hard at work, I'm not paying bills, it's tough, I'm having emotional problems, I'm not doing too well, my kids are not doing too well, help me out, I'm crying to you, God, I'm a sex addict, lusting over this woman, I like her and I cannot help it, help me out. The first thing that most addicts want to do is to take the easy way out and act out. And that only makes the situation even worse. We need to learn to take responsibilities and face life and not try to escape it and not try to run away. We repeated our sexual behaviors even though we knew they would bring harm to others and to ourselves. We made attempts to stop the behavior, but they failed. The only way to stop this is to work a program. Much of our time was spent either by sexual or managing crises or problems that arose because of our sexual behavior. In simple English, our lives had become unmanageable. That's what we call step 1. Our sexual choices created fear and despair. Our lives became filled with deceit. In order to hide our behaviors, we found ourselves isolated and alone. And that's where this disease will take you. You'll be isolated, you'll be alone, you'll have nobody in your life, you'll be miserable, you'll end up committing suicide, and you'll just have a bad ending. You'll become a parable to other people. My suggestion is simple. Go on the internet, just for this once. Go to Sex Addict Anonymous, find the meeting closest to your town, contact the people, get yourself to a meeting, work the program, commit to it, find yourself a sponsor, do your 3 inner circle behaviors, start praying to God every day, and start working a program and get out of this situation that you're in. I wish you all the best. I wish you recovery. I hope that God helps you to stay celibate, abstinent, and I hope that God helps you to make the right choices in life. I want you to know that I'm doing this because I care for you. And I'm doing this because I really do want to see you recover. And I'm doing this because I know what pain you're in your life. I know that sometimes you feel like killing yourself because you just don't know how you're going to find out of this. Maybe sometimes you cry. I just want to say to you, listen to me. I've been where you are. And there is hope. Thank you.